Our third speaker in this first session is Elio Pagani from Italy. I can try and say his organization, but my Italian is non-existent, but I'll try anyway. Abbasso la Guerra, no sé. Go ahead.
The Ghedi military airport is located in Lombardy, 16 kilometers south of Brescia and 15 kilometers from several major towns, including Cremona. The town of Ghedi has 18,500 inhabitants. The airbase under Italian command is home to the 6th EMI Red Devils Wing, whose motto is "Snaring the prey, I haul myself." Tornado IDS-ECR fighter bombers have been operating at the base since 1982. Since 1991, the base has participated in the most important US and NATO war missions: Gulf War, Desert Storm, Operation Allied Force against the former Yugoslavia, War in Afghanistan, Operation Unified Protector against Libya, and then against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. As part of nuclear sharing, it hosts some 20 nuclear bombs and participates in NATO steadfast nuclear exercises, which also involve the US nuclear air base at Aviano. Since 2022, with Russia's special operation in Ukraine, it has been on pre-alert status, and since 2024, the Charlie alert has been triggered. In recent years, the base has been renovated in terms of both facilities and airstrips, particularly with the new bunkers and shelters to house the new B-6112 thermonuclear bombs and the new F-35 Lightning II fighter bombers. The airbase has a significant environmental and health impact on the surrounding area, generating acoustic problem. The F-35 is louder than the Tornado. Aircraft noise at any hour generates stress and causes anxiety. It also contributes to worsening air pollution, especially in terms of particulate matter and nitrogen oxide. Not to mention the production of about 2.5 tons of CO2 per flight hour. The biggest problem is the safety of the population threatened by the presence of nuclear weapons, given the possibility of any accidental explosion, terrorist action, or bombings, and also considering the fact that the base is in an earthquake zone. The Ghedi military airport until 2000 could be represented as the company that distributed the largest number of salaries and jobs, a unique situation in the Bassa Bresciana, generating a significant economic inducement. This has not been the case for several years. Several businesses have closed, and several military personnel reside outside Ghedi because of noise and emissions, although there is still a blue village of military personnel in town. For years, military leaders have been practicing a policy to achieve cultural hegemony and to develop consensus around the airbase, or at least reduce conflict with it. This is done through the organization of open days, spectacular events with the tricolored arrows, appreciated by thousands of people, guided tours also involving students of all levels, and with the well-publicized charitable initiatives. Coexistence with the base is the normality. This is thanks to the gradual integration into the households of military and civilian workers from other areas. The economic dependence, direct or indirect, of many citizens, technological fascination, and the philanthropic narrative increasingly centered on claiming the defensive function of the deployed forces. The nuclear danger increased out of all proportion by the military confrontation in Ukraine between Russia and NATO is perceived as a fatality that is almost impossible to oppose. The issue is perceived as too big to deal with. So, rather than resignation, indifference is asserting many. However, over time, there have been local realities that have made the issue of nuclear weapons the focus of their action, and as evidenced by the flying of the peace flag on the municipal building, later removed by the Legist junta. Active in favor of disarmament, the removal of nuclear weapons, and the treaty banning these devices were groups of the New Left, social centers, Catholics, nonviolence, grassroots unions, as well as teachers and women, mainly from Brescia and the surrounding areas. Among the most radically active associations for the removal of nuclear weapons are Women and Men Against War of Brescia and 28 May Social Center of Rovato. They work on this goal with other Lombardy entities, including Down with the War of Varesotto, of which I am president. Association claiming the signing of the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons include the Pax Christi Peace Point of Brescia, which works with the Italian Peace and Disarmament Network and Senza Atomica on ICANN goals, the Brescian Nonviolent Movement, and activists of the World March for Peace and Nonviolence. More than 56 local authorities in Brescia area are networking to ask the Italian government to endorse the TPNW. Countless over time have been the initiatives for the removal of nuclear weapons from Gedi, very well attended garrison and marches, for example, 5,000 people in 2023, conferences, assemblies, protests over student visit the base, revelation of seismicity of the place, and the noise and air pollution procured by fighter bombers, etc. The most relevant initiatives were the request for an emergency plan in case of nuclear accident, and a criminal complaint against the presence of nuclear weapons in Italy at Gedi and Aviano. The latter initiative was made possible by the study on the legality or otherwise of the presence of nuclear weapons in Italy that 22 local and national associations had commissioned in 2021 to the Italian section of International Association of Lawyers Against Nuclear Arms. Study that we published in the book, now also in English, Legal Opinion on the Presence of Nuclear Weapons in Italy, and of which we have some copies here for those interested. Great was the effort to publicize the book and the complaint in some 20 municipalities. On October 2nd, 2023, 22 of us filed the complaint with Court of Rome. Unfortunately, the public prosecutor, to whom the case had been assigned, asked for it to be dismissed without warning us, considering us not to be offended parties, but mere complainants. And the judge, for preliminary investigation, dismissed it. Against the filing, we have brought complaint, claiming our right to be notified of the request as offended parties. We are waiting now to see the outcome of this initiative. Recently, having learned that the Lombardy region has ordered the construction of 30 stores of potassium iodide to be used in case of nuclear accident, also put in relation to the war in Ukraine, we sent a letter to all 1,500 Lombardy municipalities, proposing the removal of nuclear weapons from Gedi as a real preventive action, and arguing the insignificance of the distribution of iodine tablet. Our association also proposed the dismantling of NATO, the most powerful, dangerous, and aggressive military alliance in human history. Thank you.